It's dangerous to go alone. Take this.
And welcome to the realm of geekdom. This is nerd breaking news. We're going to go ahead and talk about Aaron Pierce, who is playing the Green Lantern and is joining the Man of Tomorrow sequel for Superman. But before we dive into that, guys, make sure you first like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss an episode. Let's jump into the conversation. Kid, what do you think about this news?
It's not surprising. This is what Gunn does. Gunn can't do a singular film. He has to include 20,000 people. This is who he is. I'm going to be the day one only because, unfortunately, it's called Superman, Man of Tomorrow, right? If we would just call Man of Tomorrow, I probably wouldn't have seen it. Anyways, jokes aside, Superman 2025 was disappointment. It was very underwhelming, even though it was the best, in my opinion, the best Superman since Christopher Reeve, David Cornswet. It was just an underwhelming film.
Oh, you mean the guy? Yeah,
the guy, the actor. That's comic book Superman. He did his movie.
Yeah,
you can't hate him. Gunn is to blame. That's the Snyder fans are gonna get mad. No, the difference is that my Superman didn't kill anybody. Anyways, this is not shocking. It's right on par with Gunn. I'm so apprehensive with the DCU. I'm so like, all right, man. We don't get me wrong. Critically, Gunn did his job. We have to give him some flowers. It was a critical success in terms of what the critics and the fans liked, the Superman numbers, in terms of like the critic fan reaction. The critics enjoyed Superman just as much as anything else in terms of Superman the last 20-something years. So we got to give him at least that little thing. The other argument is, it's not surprising, right? Like something's gonna happen to Hal Jordan. He's going to take over. We know what's going to happen. Stewart's going to become the Green Lantern. I like Stewart. He's a cool character. I'm not hating on this guy joining the cast as an actor. I'm hating him joining the cast as the story. Gunn, I'm so apprehensive, man. Like, we're bringing Brainiac. People have been bitching and crying for Brainiac for decades on the big screen. We're finally getting Brainiac. You know what's the bad thing about this? It's Gunn Part 2. Like, he literally said it, guys, that it's not going to be a Superman film. It's going to be Luthor and Superman. So the presumption is they're both going to get 50-50 screen time. And if that's the case, you're once again doing the mistake that Snyder did. That Snyder made Man of Steel, and then through the studio or whatever the agreement was, they went straight to BVS. I think that was the biggest mistake Snyder did. Had they did Man of Steel 2, I think the road would have been a lot easier, but they went straight to the most diverse film ever. You have to understand. I forgot before. I think it was the Marvels 2 or something. He held the record for BVS for the biggest drop from first weekend to second weekend in the box office. It was over 60%. It was
terrible.
It was like right off the people started. It was. Remember, you have to understand. 10 years ago, it was very bad. Like Superman and all that stuff, and how he died. Batman,
I loved it.
It was you're the Marvel guy.
For the Marvel guys, yeah.
I was like, ooh, failure.
Look, Supergirl might show up. You have this guy. You have the Green Lantern from the first film. You have Hawkgirl. Hawkgirl and him supposed to have a relationship, which is cool. Then you have Lois Lane. You have the Daily Planet people coming back. I'm talking about like every single cast member from Superman, the Daily Planet. So now you're bringing in such a big cast that are you going to attempt to develop Brainiac? Are you going to attempt to develop anybody else? So again, this is just right on par what Gunn does. I'm scared. I'm apprehensive. I hope the only cool thing about this is that my boy David Cornswet gets another film. The con, it feels like what Snyder did. We're gonna, instead of going 2 straight solo films, we're gonna put Superman in another ensemble film, and he gets to have less shining than what he deserves. Unfortunately, he should be the star. And when you put Lex Luthor as the second co-star, literally the co-star, because remember the poster that came out like months ago? It was Luthor with the suit and Superman with like a screwdriver, implying that they're gonna reluctantly get together to. Now we know they're gonna fight Brainiac, and now you have this guy. You have Hawkgirl. It's the beginning of the Justice League. Do we need that in the second film? What are we doing here? So.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying right now. But again, like, when we talk about James Gunn, we know that he has a good record, sort of say, about doing ensemble castings. And I think that's like the one positive thing that I could give about this. Adding this person, I really don't know what he really brings to the table when we already have this large number of casts. I guess it's just to connect the TV show with the cinematic universe that he's trying to do.
That makes
But
sense.
It's going to be coming out in August in 2026. This film comes out in July 2027. Definitely what you were saying, the theory that, we could see Hal Jordan kind of like something happened to him in the show, and then him taking over as the role. Yeah. Cool and all, but I kind of agree. Like, why do we need to bring him in this second film? Professor, what do you think?
This is stupid. The thing is that when you're looking at Guardians of the Galaxy, one key question to ask yourself is, how many characters are actually in that movie? One. Now, how many of those characters were actually utilized? How many actually were central to the plot? And how many actually developed over time? When you look at that whole ensemble cast, only 2 characters really got developed. You could argue Star-Lord and Nebula. But then you realize the only reason why Nebula even got developed is really because she was in Avengers Endgame. So the Russo brothers, to a degree, did a little bit of that work for James Gunn to begin with, for one. And then when you're looking at Star-Lord, he only really develops a little bit at the very end of the 3rd movie. And all the other ones, he's the exact same character with no change. Thor has developed more than Star-Lord has, which is wild to say. James Gunn's track record for ensemble cast is terrible. What happens is he gives you really great imagery, and he's really good at giving you a character that you root for, but he's terrible with conflict. He's terrible with villains. He's terrible with characterization. When you're looking at that last Superman movie, I can't even tell you how many characters are actually on that cast. But what I can tell you is that none of them mattered. You had Mr. Terrific in there, didn't matter. Hawkgirl, didn't matter. Guy Gardner, didn't matter. Jimmy Olsen, didn't matter. Lois Lane, mattered a little bit, I'll give you that. Perry White, didn't matter. And then you're going to double down on all that mediocrity by adding Jon Stewart, one of the greatest black characters of all time, so he could be in the same mess as all the other characters in the last movie. How's about rather than throwing more into the mess, you actually do something with the ones you actually introduced? Because he can't. He can't.
Mm-hmm.
He's just not good at it.
Professor, what do we see from the trailer? What do we see from the Green Lantern's trailer? This is a very serious Stewart portrayal. You're going into a goofy gun world. Like, what are we doing here? He's
wasting time.
I wanted to succeed because I like DC. I love DC, but this doesn't make sense. It doesn't. You're introducing Brainiac to a lot of fans who actually wanted Brainiac for years. You're introducing Brainiac, and what you're doing to the professor's credit is, hold on, 15% got to go to Guy Gardner, 10% got to go here, screen time. And then by the time you get to the Brainiac, we're going to feel what? Underwhelmed. Because you put so much time.
And don't forget about the jokes. Don't forget about the jokes as well. Because it's going to be a jokey film. It's going to be bad. Yeah.
I'm going to double down even more.
Sorry, I interrupted you,
David Cornsweet, you're good. Is David Cornsweet even Superman? Here's what I mean by that.
Hey,
when you're looking at... What was that?
Leave that man alone.
I'm not going to say what you think I'm going to say. Where I'm going with that is, dang near every scene in that movie that I saw with him in it was a scene in the trailer. When you stop and you ask yourself, how many scenes did he actually have in that movie? Not really all that many. He might have only been in about 15, 20 minutes of that movie.
I don't think we got into it because we should have a retrospective of how bad that movie was in the future. The 1 year anniversary, we should do that. A retrospective and bash that movie.
I'm good.
I never understand why people in the comments on Twitter or X, whatever, love the idea where me and TK were in the theaters and we saw that scene, TK, where they're talking in a serious damn moment, and in the background is a fight, and it was so annoying. It was so annoying.
It was distracting.
It was distracting. It was that typical hey, here's James Gunn's comedy. there's Guy Gardner and Hawk Girl fighting at night, and you're like, it's a Tuesday night in Metropolis. I can't chill. There's a ball outside. How's in Hayback? Like, what's going on here?
Right. But here's my thing. So you had a whole movie with Superman where Superman was barely even in it. So now we're gonna go ahead and do that again. And to me, I like David Corn Sweat. He seems like a really cool guy. I don't like Superman at all. But you know what? If you gave me a Superman movie with him just in it, I might actually watch that.
Without Gunn.
Huh?
Without Gunn.
Sure. I mean, with him, without him. But if you actually committed to giving me a solo movie with him as a star, without any of that extra crap, you might have me. Because he seems kind of cool. He seems like a cool dude. I want him to win. But his own director is committed to Lex Luthor being the main character in his series. Because it's very clear when you're looking at it that Lex Luthor is the actual star of the Superman series. Even though I think his characterization is completely whack in the movie. It's too comic-y, it's too over the top. And there's no logic behind it.
I thought he was in a sea of mediocrity, he shined.
No, what you're looking at is what's called good acting. It's because he's a thespian. You're looking at the actor.
You know what?
That makes sense, though. That makes sense.
Nicholas Hoult. Shout out to Nicholas Hoult. Shout out to
exactly one of the greatest actors of our time.
Yes,
that's 100%. Why it's like everyone remembering Marlon Brando from the Superman movies. He didn't do anything, but it's Marlon Brando. That's Marlon
Brando. That's Marlon Brando. Yeah, Nicholas Hoult. Nicholas Hoult.
When you watch it, if you can summon the strength to watch it again, sit down and listen to what Lex Luthor is saying, and then ask yourself a question: why is he saying it? And you'll realize it makes no sense.
And he had all this time to write it. He had no studio interference. And this is the script that's the first thing I told TK when we walk out the theaters. What's the first thing I told him? That story didn't make sense.
Because you know what, kid? I'm gonna tell you something that you don't want to hear, but I'm gonna tell it to you anyways. I would bet you $1 that movie was originally written as a Man of Steel sequel, but then they changed it.
No, because Gunn admitted that he wrote it. But Gunn admitted that he wrote it whenever he wrote it. I don't think he said there was going to be a Man of Steel sequel directly.
What I'm saying is I'm willing to bet that when he pitched it and he started writing it, because when you're looking at the plot itself,
he didn't pitch it. They came to him. He didn't pitch it.
I'll rephrase.
You want to believe him? I'm just saying this is what he said.
I don't. Okay. I'm telling you that I don't. Because the thing is, go back and look at the first act and ask yourself, what is the conflict and why aren't you seeing it? He's clearly relying on you on your knowledge of something else. He's gonna rely on your knowledge on these people's knowledge of comic books. If there's one thing we know about the average nerd moviegoer, they don't know anything about comic books either.
That's a damn fact.
So that doesn't make sense. So he's clearly relying on your knowledge of some movie that you've already seen before, but then he changed his mind. That's what happened.
To be honest, that's probably his worst L. His world, while he's a comic book nerd per se, his biggest thing is I gotta go by what this gospel is, and X, Y, and Z. The gospel is helping me. I'm like, no, dude, man.
Right. But when in the history of this man's career has he ever relied on your knowledge of comic books to figure out what he's doing? Never. It's a lie. That's not what it is. The movie is very clearly meant to be a continuation of something else.
You don't see that. Because there is definitely conflict that missing at the beginning. We just jump right into it. And we're expected to know, this is totally, Superman going at it with Lex Luthor or whatever he's putting out.
On.
And, I'm not a big DC guy. So I ask a lot of questions about what's going on. And for me, I get it. Superman, Lex Luthor, that's the biggest fight. But for me, it's like, why are they fighting?
Exactly.
And it didn't make sense at the beginning.
I said the same thing. But say what you want about Zack Snyder. I know. I get it. And I hate to give him a compliment. But you have to concede that he at least gave Lex Luthor a reason for hating Superman. He did.
Man, the problem with doing that is that that portrayal wasn't even, first of all, that wasn't even Lex Luthor, right? That was Lex Luthor Jr.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So that wasn't even Lex Luthor. Second of all, that's already an L. Why didn't you do Lex Luthor? Second of all, that portrayal was so historically bad that to give it credence, nobody should be doing anything
I
near that level.
I did not mean to activate you in this way. All I'm saying is that when you're looking at Zack Snyder, he at least created a reason for all the conflicts to happen later. We could argue that his exception was poor.
Yeah,
and
just
we could argue
the whole God thing where he did, God's come from. That's in the story. That's what he says.
But it's not just that. It's the idea of what a God could do. So when you're looking at the end of Man of Steel, where they're destroying everything, you would stop him. If you're a logical person on that earth, you'd be like, "Yo, we can't have any of these people that we don't control." Yeah. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the exact same plot point pops up in this movie without the reasoning.
But Marvel did it with Iron Man. Like everybody's touched that subject.
Sure.
Everybody's touched that subject. And I think it was Superman is that because his comic book history is dull. It's not exactly the greatest writing in the last 80 years of Superman comics. It's not like it's Bruce. Bruce is the GOAT. It's not Iron Man. I love the fact that I can say that openly. It's not Iron Man. That guy trash.
What'd you say about Iron Man?
You don't go there. Don't go there. Let's compare comic books.
That'll be a different topic, but relax.
Bruce is the GOAT. I'm just saying one last thing, Professor. I think you hit it right in the head. And I love that point. With the exception of Guardians 3, he's like 0 for 8 on villains.
Exactly.
Guardians 3 was his best villain.
But even then, when you're looking at that, how much of that was the script and how much of that was just a really damn good actor?
Yeah, jeez, I love that guy. Both of them, him and Rocket, that relationship. Yeah. Jesus.
When he's screaming, "I created you!" You were like, "Yo, this man's crazy. I kill this man now."
I'll never get over the whole dance off with Ronan the Accuser.
Ronan the Destroyer. Yeah.
And remember, that is the great Lee Pace. He wasted Lee Pace's time. They had Lee Pace on payroll. They had him on payroll, and they said, "Dance off, Lee Pace."
And then Kurt Russell in part 2. He wasted Kurt Russell.
Then you know what happened in that third movie? What's his face said? We're not doing no jokes here. We're not doing no jokes here.
And look what happened. The
best film out of the trilogy.
Exactly. Let me tell you something. Marvel needs to bring Lee Pace back for Secret Wars. I don't care how they do it. He needs to be a Dr. Doom's Army and Subway. Bring that man back.
I love that take, though. By the way, before you end there, I love that take that the professor said. He's actually not good in ensembles. And the funny thing is that the narrative with the nerd communities is that he is. That's interesting.
So I feel that way. Yeah, I said it myself. At the beginning of this film, that I thought that he was really great in ensembles. But Professor actually does make a great point. It really is the actors who are pulling this off, not really James Gunn. Any final comments before we end this film recording?
It's dangerous to go alone.
All right, then. Well, everyone, thank you for tuning in. Let us know your opinion. What do you think about this film? Are you on our side and agree that this is chaotic and crazy is not going to work out? Or are you on the other end? Let us know in those comments. But until then, keep your fandom alive and your wardrobe engaged. Until next time, fellow nerds, this is Nerd Breaking.